So, festival weekend, all devotees are busy the last 2 days. So, in the last week, we were discussing from chapter 13, wherein having been to different holy places over 35 years, Vidura comes to Hastinapur. Yudhishthira Maharaj receives him very nicely, offers him nice worshipful articles, and then allows him to take some rest. And in the evening, all of them met together. And Yudhishthira Maharaj asks, "Where all you traveled, my dear uncle? Please tell me, how did you maintain yourself over these years? Did you happen to see or meet the Yadus? How are they? Are they faring well or not?" Something like that. Having heard all such questions, so Vidura answered everything except Vina Yadukulakshayam, except the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. Why he did not speak about the destruction of the Yadu dynasty? Nanvapriyam durvihasam nranam swayam upastitam na vedaya sakaruno dukhitam drashtum akshama. So in the 13th verse, it was said that a merciful person unable to see others suffer should not reveal an inauspicious event arising on its own, which no human can tolerate. So a merciful devotee will never speak about unpleasant news immediately, because they understand that anyway this news will come to them in due course of time, tomorrow or day of tomorrow. So till then he does not want to create misery to that person. So in this regard, we discussed in the last class that the modern concept is to propagate the bad news. In the modern age, we want to propagate all the bad news as quickly as possible. This is the reason for people to undergo stress and anxiety. They analyze bad news and advertise for analyzing others, for the analysis of others. You are comfortable with this here? Should I sit? They are making money out of others' miserable situation. The people who are going through misery, their news are captured and propagated all over. And those who read those news, they also become miserable. So, but the people in between who propagate the news earn money. So that is what is happening nowadays. When one propagates the bad news, the most miserable person is you only. So basically, that is what is happening today. Vedic way of dealing the bad news is any calamity is by the will of the Lord. Accept, admit, and do not propagate it. The Vedic understanding of the information of the news is accept it, admit it, and do not propagate it for no reason. But nowadays it's not like that. They propagate it and analyze it, so much. People get bored of it. So that was the reason. So with this background, we will continue the discussion further. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, this is 13th verse purport. According to Niti Shastra, one should not speak an unpalatable truth to cause distress to others. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. Even though it is truth, it should be spoken in a palatable way. It should not be spoken to cause distress to others. Distress anyway comes upon us in its own way by the laws of nature. So one should not aggravate it by propaganda. So if it is due to destiny, distress supposed to come tomorrow. If somebody reveals that news to us today only, so we are going through one day extra distress, something like that. So let us wait for the destiny to reveal the truth instead of coming in between. For a compassionate soul like Vidura, especially in his dealings with the Pandavas, it was almost impossible to disclose an unpleasant piece of news like the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty. Therefore, he purposefully refrained from it. Why he did not reveal? In one of the future verses, there is a hint given for that. That time we'll understand more details. So now, starting with 14th verse, we'll continue. Kanchit kalam atavavastit Satkruto deva vasukam Bhratur jeshtasya shreyaskrut Sarvesham sukamavaham.
Thus, Mahatma Vidura, being treated just like a godly person by his kinsmen, remained there for a certain period just to rectify the mentality of his eldest brother and in this way bring happiness to all the others.
So actually Vidura's intention to coming back to Hastinapur is to just to deliver his brother, elder brother. So for that reason, he stayed sometime in Hastinapur. To do the needful. Somebody started here, no? So respected as God, Vidura stayed there for some time, pleasing all and giving the highest benefit to Dhritarashtra. The one and only purpose for Vidura to come back to Hastinapur is only just to benefit his elder brother Dhritarashtra, who is in illusion. For his benefit only came all the way here. Shreyaskrit means giving benefit, giving the highest benefit. So because the Pandavas already in Krishna consciousness, they are already fully surrendered devotees of Supreme Lord. They don't need any further beneficial instructions. So it is said that there is no correlation between comfort and misery. So in this world, generally we always look for comfort, even though the world is called as miserable world, dukkhala mashashvatam. All the people in the place in the palace of Hastinapur are having good material comforts. Externally seems to be everything palatial buildings and so many things. But they are all miserable because they lost their relatives. None of the Hastinapur residents, especially the palace residents, in one sense, the Pandavas also apparently had so many facilities. They have lost their sons, their well-wisher, their friends, relatives. So, in one sense, they are also not happy, but they are there. They are ruling the kingdom for the service to Supreme Lord. Only thing that lifts them up is transcendental sound vibration. So Vidura came to give the jewel of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vidura came there to give the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam to the Pandavas, which he had heard from Maitreya. So in that way, Vidura having heard everything from Maitreya, he comes back to Hastinapur. So from that point of view. So now there could be Prabhupada actually addresses one important point in the purport. The purpose of living in the palace was to deliver his elder brother Dhritarashtra, who was too much materially attached. So Dhritarashtra's entire life is kind of summarized here in the sense like all family members of Dhritarashtra are passed away in the past, starting with his brother. I'm just making a point. You can't find them. So he lost his brother Pandu. Then he had lost his well-wishers like Bhishma, Drona, others. He had lost his children, 100 sons, dearmost sons. They are also lost. Now he has no one to live. He is simply in misery. So in order to give him true knowledge, so he came. Vidura particularly came to enlighten Dhritarashtra and to give him a lift to the higher status of spiritual cognition. It is the duty of enlightened souls to deliver the fallen ones, and Vidura came for that reason. But talks of spiritual enlightenment are so refreshing that while instructing Dhritarashtra, Vidura attracted the attention of all the members of the family and all of them took pleasure in hearing him patiently. This is the way of spiritual realization. The message should be heard attentively and is spoken by a realized soul. It will act on the dormant heart of the conditioned soul, and by continuously hearing, one can attain the perfect stage of self-realization. So message should be heard attentively. All the five Pandavas, and all the other family members, they were hearing very attentively from Vidura because they met him after so long time. And now he's not a ordinary person. And now one interesting point will be mentioned in the next verse. Further, the introduction is how could Vidura can speak to the Pandavas and Dhritarashtra? From the social custom point of view, Pandavas and Vidura, the Pandavas and Dhritarashtra were Kshatriyas, and Vidura was not Kshatriya. Generally, a Brahmana speaks to the Kshatriyas. Vidura is the son of a Shudran. How can Vidura can give spiritual instructions to the 5 Pandavas as well as Dhritarashtra? The answer is given in this verse is that apparently externally we may see Vidura to be a son of a Shudra, but who is really his real identity will be given in this verse. It's not working. Try करो चालू करके turning on turning off display not coming. Last week I have sent slides, no? Yeah. Press button. Starting button. Power. Central button. Bibrad Arya Madandam Yatavad Agakarishu Yavad Dadara Sudratvam Shapad Varshashatam Yama.
As long as Vidura played the part of a Sudra, being cursed by Manduka Muni, Aryama officiated at the post of Yamraj to punish those who committed sinful acts.
So it is said that as long as Yama passed his life for 100 years as a Shudra because of a curse, Aryama performed his duties of punishing the sinful in an appropriate way. So there is a story, background story for this particular appearance of Yamaraja as Vidura that we will read through in the next part of the slide. So it is said that what is the qualification of Vidura so that he can instruct Yudhishthir Maharaj and also Dhritarashtra. Consider that Vidura was inferior because of being lesser than Dhritarashtra and others. But Vidura in his identity is Dharmaraja or Yama, who was born as a Shudra by the curse of Mandavya in the form of Vidura. It is Dharmaraja himself was born as Vidura by the curse of Mandavya Rishi. Who would carry then if Yamaraj appeared as Vidura, then who will carry out the duties of Yamaraj? Who would carry out the punishment while Yama had the Shudra body? Aryama held the post. Aditi had 12 sons. Aditi, after marrying with Kashyapa, she begot 12 sons. They are called 12 Adityas. One among the 12 Adityas is Aryama. So when Yamaraj came down, Aryama took the responsibility of taking care of all those things. One of the 12 Adityas is also called Vivashwan, sun god. Sun god's son is Yamaraj. So when Yamaraj came down, his uncle, his father's younger brother, took care of the responsibility of Yamaloka. Whoever comes there and punishing him, etc. So why Yamaraj has come down and took birth as the son of Shudrani? That story comes here. One time, the soldiers of a king were chasing some thieves. Basically, I'll tell the story. So at one point of time, the thief stole. Sorry, it will turn off. 1 minute. बंद हो जाएगा. It's not working. So at one point of time, some thieves stole away the necklace of the queen. The king sent soldiers to catch that thieves. The thieves went into the forest. They hid themselves in the ashram within the ashram courtyard of Mandavya Rishi. And Mandavya Rishi was performing the daily routine daily routine yoga process. Is in meditation basically. The soldiers came and they caught hold of these thieves. And since they are hiding in the ashram courtyard of the sage, they thought that this the so-called mendicant who is acting like a mendicant is their leader. So they caught hold of sage also, Mandavya Rishi, and they took everyone to the king. And king understood, okay, these people are party of that thievery, robbery. So king told that punish them, throwing them in Chang or something like that. So then all of them were punished. So while they were being punished, one of the soldiers reported to the king saying that, so my dear king, there seems to be a real sage, one among them. So it seems that he is very innocent, he is not guilty of committing this mistake, etc. The king suddenly came and begged forgiveness and took the sage out of the punishment area, etc. But the sage, in order to understand why this punishment was given to him, he immediately left his body, he went to Yamalok. Having gone to Yamalok, he asked Yamaraj why I was given such kind of cruel punishment. And though I am not part of that thievery, I am nothing to do with the robbery. So why was that I was given heavy punishment? Yamaraj told that in your childhood, you have pierced a grasshopper with krusha grass as a play. As a small child, you have pierced the grasshopper with krusha grass. You made it into two parts. It was red. So this is the punishment for that sin. Then Mandavya Rishi becomes very angry. You are supposed to be Dharmaraj. You are supposed to be knower of Dharma. You are supposed to be knower of everything. How can you make such a silly mistake? The children who are ignorant of what is right, what is wrong, they may play with so many objects. They don't know what is right, what is wrong. As a child, I made out a mistake. For that, you award this kind of big punishment. You are not fit to be continue as Yamaraj. The what you can say, the evaluator of the piety and impiety of conditioned souls. So may you take birth as a son of a Shudran. So that was the curse pronounced by Pandava Rishi. And he said that specifically said that may you live the life of Shudrani's son for 100 years. So Yamaraj says, okay, thank you, sir. So if you think I made a mistake, I'll accept your curse without any problem. So Yamaraj accepted that curse and eventually appeared as the son of the Shudrani through Vyasdev. That was Vidura. But on the other hand, at that time, Mandavya Muni gave a rule, adjustment in the general rules. So I don't remember exactly whether it is 8 years or 14 years, but one of the two applicable. Until 8 years, whatever children does, the responsibility lies with the parents. If they do good or if they do something sinful, the results goes to parents, not to the children, because children don't know anything in these years, initial years. The responsibility lies in the parent. Parents should take care of the children in all respects. Something like that. This entire story comes in the Mahabharata. So it is like that.
Because it's my son and daughter-in-law, because he's my son, Brahma, son, grandson is very naughty, he's doing all these mischiefs.
No, naughty mischief is okay. Sinful activities. So whatever it is. So parents need to be careful. Parents need to educate. That's why parents are said to be the first guru. So they need to educate what to do, what not to do, etc. As a result of this, Yama takes birth from a Shudra woman and the maid servant of Ambalika and acts as the minister of Hastinapur for 100 years. So, though he was born as the son of a maid servant, but Satyavati and Bhishma never treated him as the son of a maid servant. All three were raised very nicely. Dhritarastra, Pandu, and Vidura, three were raised very nicely. They were sent to Vyasdev to study all the Vedas, and Bhishma himself teaches all the weaponry to all three of them. They were very nicely taken care by all these people. But the problem happened when they were coronated. Dhritarashtra from the very beginning he was thinking that I am the eldest son, I will be the king. But on the day of coronation, Pandu was announced as the next king and Vidura was minister. And Dhritarashtra developed a kind of envious feelings, ill feelings towards both Pandu and Vidura. Till now, he was treating Pandu and Vidura like his close brothers. And now on, from there on, he started treating them as not friends actually. Envious party, something like that. So starting with that, for the next 100 years, Vidura acted as the minister of Hastinapur. On the day when Lord Krishna came as messenger, peace messenger, Duryodhana did not hear to the message of Lord Krishna. Instead, he wanted to arrest Lord Krishna. Krishna told, war is inevitable. Please let us meet in Kurukshetra. He left. In that night, Dhritarastra calls Vidura and asks for his solution. Please tell me what to do, what can be done, how we can remedy this situation, how we can avoid the war. He says, simple, you arrest Duryodhana, you kill him, award him death punishment. Then you can be saved of 99 sons at least. So hearing these words, Duryodhana shouts heavily. He shouts him saying that you son of a kept mistress, you son of a Shudrani, you are eating our food and you are eating our food and you are doing welfare for the envious party. Get out of my home. The only favor I can do to you is, since you have served my father for these years, I'll leave you with your breath. So just as you are now, leave my home, leave my palace like that. Duryodhana shouts. So that was the time. In one sense, apparently 100 years of that curse period ended. So almost for 100 years, he acted like a minister, though Dhritarashtra did not like him, though Duryodhana did not like him, and they treated him as the son of a Shudrani in these 100 years. Pandavas never treated him like that. Bhishma never treated him like that. But only the Duryodhana and his company and also Dhritarashtra treated him like that. So that was the whole story of Vidura. Since Vidura is none other than Yamaraj, he can instruct anyone and everyone in this entire universe. Then what to speak of Dhritarashtra and Yudhishthira? So he has the right to instruct. So in that way. So in the Bhagavatam third canto, we get all these pastimes, whatever I mentioned, they are mentioned in the third canto, first chapter about Vidura in more detail. Naitat Chitram Taikshattar Badarayana Vireja. This is a verse from third canto, fifth chapter. Grihito Ananya Bhavena Yatvaya Hari. Where it is said that this is not at all astonishing since you have been born from the seed of Vyasadeva and endowed with pure bhakti. You have directly met the Supreme Lord. So Maitreya is what you can say very nicely welcoming Vidura, saying these words. So Vidura approaches Maitreya and makes some relevant inquiries for the benefit of all of us. So having heard all the inquiries, Maitreya is saying that hearing such kind of inquiries from you is not at all astonishing, since you are directly being born from Srila Vasudev and you are endowed with pure bhakti. And Lord Krishna came to your house in order to accept his meal. So that is the level of surrender you display to Supreme Lord. So you asking relevant questions for the welfare of the society in general is not at all astonishing. This is the nature of a great sadhu. And then it talks about this one. Mandave Shapat Bhagavan Praja Samyamano Yama Pratuk Kshetre Bujishyayam Jata Satyavati Sutat. He says that you are actually Yamaraj, punisher of all beings. But by the curse of Mandava Rishi, you were born through the Vyasadeva in the womb of the servant woman of Vichitra Virya. So only by the curse of Mandava Muni, though you were Yamaraj, you appeared as Vidura. And who is Yamaraj? Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajanas. So Mahajanas always act for the well-being of all the conditioned souls. So that is the context. Thus Maitreya shows that Vidura was not an ordinary person by reciting his history. So Vidura is not an ordinary human being like us. He is not like an ordinary minister like any other minister, but he is Yamaraj himself. So it is like that. So that Yamaraj has qualification to instruct anyone and everyone in the entire universe. So now he is going to instruct Dhritarashtra in the upcoming verses. But before that, one interesting verse. Since the time he became the minister, he was not at all happy. Because he became the minister, Pandu was the king, but Dhritarashtra was not liking the whole idea. As soon as he became the king, he got married to Kunti. Then he was invited by Madradesh king, because there was a war between two neighboring countries. So he went there to assist Madraraj to defeat the envious kings. So there a lot of time went by. As a reciprocation, Madraraj awarded his sister in marriage to him, Madri. So Pandu came back. After coming back, Pandu went along with his two wives to the forest to spend some time with his wives. So there, inauspicious thing happened that by shooting an arrow, he killed one Brahmana sage and his wife. But that Brahmana sage cursed Pandu that what kind of person are you? You are not at all qualified to continue as a king. If at all, whenever you unite with your wife, you will also attain the same situation I am attaining now. You will die. So Pandu understood that I am not qualified to continue as a king. So he sends a message to Hastinapur. So I am going to the forest taking unto Vanaprastha order. I am not coming back. Please, my dear elder brother, take care of the kingdom. So all these events happened within few years, maybe 3-4 years only, not many years. And Dhritarashtra became the king of the Hastinapur. So there started. Whenever Vidura would give some good suggestion, he was kind of insulted and neglected and not taken seriously. Apparently, Dhritarashtra would take the word seriously, but he would never implement them. Someone other Shakuni or somebody, a Kanka or Duryodhana, would come and instigate him to do something else only, something like that. So since then, all his problems started. So neither Pandu ruled for a long time, nor Yudhishthira also could not rule for a long time. Eventually, when Yudhishthira became the Yuvraj, that crown prince, Duryodhana made a plot that requesting them to go to Varnavat, wanted to kill them alive. Draft night. Pandavas escaped, they traveled forest. After marrying Draupadi, they came to Hastinapur. They were given the place known barren land, Kandaprastha. They developed it very nicely. And they performed all sacrifice also, working very hard. Duryodhana again stole off their property, sent them to forest. They again went to forest. Again, there was a huge battle. So during the battle, Vidura left Hastinapur and went into the forest. So he never saw Pandavas being happy. Now for the first time, Vidura is coming to Hastinapur, seeing that the Pandavas are ruling the kingdom. And they actually established the finest religious governance. Though it is the fag end of Dwapara Yuga, when Yudhishthira was ruling in these 35 years, the entire atmosphere is like that of Satya Yuga. So Vidura was very happy with that current condition. That is being mentioned in the current verse. Yudhishthiro labdharajya drishta pautram kulamdaram Bhratribir lokapalabir mumude parayasriya.
Having won his kingdom and observed the birth of one grandson, competent to continue the noble tradition of his family, Maharaj Yudhishthira reigned peacefully and enjoyed uncommon opulences in cooperation with his younger brother, who were all expert administrators to the common people.
Yeah. At the end, after so many years, now Yudhishthira became unrivaled monarch. Having attained his kingdom and seeing the heir to the dynasty, Yudhishthira, along with his brothers who were like protecting devatas, became overjoyed with the greatest splendor. And he was constantly supported by the other 4 Pandavas. And Yudhishthira is completely happy that his lineage can continue in the future because Parikshit Maharaj was personally protected by Lord Krishna himself. So this is the only source of his happiness. Otherwise, there is no other reason for Yudhishthira to happiness. So it is not that Yudhishthira Maharaj and Pandavas were attracted to the material happiness. But apparently, though they are completely dedicated to service, Supreme Lord service, but their only happiness is that they have got Parikshit, who are the greatest of devotees, will continue the kingdom. That means Parikshit Maharaj will continue the mission of Lord Krishna, providing favorable circumstances for the people to practice bhakti and go back to Godhead. So in that way, since Vidura is for the first time seeing Yudhishthir, in good and happy condition. He did not reveal the departure of Lord Krishna or Balramji or Yadus. This was the reason he did not tell. He wanted Yudhishthira to continue few more days with this current situation. Anyway, the news will come on its own accord. Till then, let Yudhishthira Maharaj continue to rule with full of satisfaction, full of surrender. So that was the reason Vidura did not inform about the destruction of Yadu dynasty to Yudhishthira.
Prabhuji, such a big destruction happened. The old Yaduka dynasty got destroyed. Such a big news. How come that emperor is not aware of it?
Yeah, that is the problem with our modern understanding. What is happening in the corner of the universe, we come to know through our WhatsApp and news channels, etc. The today's situation is entirely different. Those days,
There would be some spies and there are some communicator between the two kingdoms.
Mhm.
There would be happening some communication. Way or other. They must have passed the information.
that is Lord only orchestrated the entire pastime. In spite of having our own things like communication via medias, if Lord wants, the news can be kept hidden. So Lord wanted things to go in a particular way. So that was the reason the news is not spread immediately.
It's a
We
lost
can see like
desire.
that. Yeah, it's Lord's desire. Even Mena did not know. So Lord Krishna took all the Yadus to Prabhas. There was what is his name? Daruka, the chariot driver of
Krishna.
Lord Krishna, who met Lord Krishna after after the destruction of all the Yadu dynasty. And Balramji also disappeared. Lord Krishna sat underneath a banyan tree. That time Daruka comes and meets Krishna, saying that, my dear Lord, please tell me what can I do? And Krishna says that, I will send my chariot, horses, all the weapon into spiritual world. And I have one service seva for you. Please go back to Dwaraka and inform my father and everyone that I am winding up my pastimes. Daruka went to Dwaraka, informed the news of Lord Krishna's departure, and every person in Dwaraka also left. No one, how can any person will continue after having heard the departure of Lord Krishna, their life and soul? Apparently seems that everyone left in Dwaraka also. There is a, of course, it is not that everyone left, few are there, but all the elderly people who spent their whole life along with Lord Krishna, whose life and soul is Lord Krishna, they all left. So that could be one of the reasons that they have not sent spies here and there to sending the information, because they are already in full August. It's see, one person dies, that is okay, manageable. The whole dynasty is, the whole kingdom died in that sense. So what kind of news will be sent to here and there? So that is the reason. Eventually, we'll see in the next chapter that Yudhishthira Maharaj himself sends Arjuna, please go and find out what's happening in Dwarka. And Arjuna goes there, understands everything is done. He performs all the final rites to everyone, receives person. Then he comes back and reveals entire information to Yudhishthira Maharaj. That will be explained in the next chapter. So it is like that. Of course, spies might have revealed some information, something like that. Not exactly all the details, but some details. Something happened. So Yudhishthira had sent Arjuna immediately. Please go and find out what exactly happened. So something like that. Exact details are not mentioned either in Bhagavatam or in Mahabharata. So it will be revealed in few days later.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this our Jamraj is a 12 Mahajan. Then how come he has given punishment to the Manduk Muni? So what are the reason? Is there a Krishna plan or is there a mistake?
See, Prabhuji, from Bhakti point of view, is a Mahajan. And from the among the Devatas, is one of the administrator. His service is to take care of that. Okay, how much piety this person has done, how much impiety has done, awarding the results of piety, awarding the results of impiety. That is his duty. So why it has done, we don't know. I mean, why don't bring everything in everything Krishna's plan? So there is one reason that Krishna, I mean, Lord Vishnu tells all the Devatas, please take part in my pastimes. So for that, all the many people have taken birth. For example, we discussed in one of the previous Bhagavatam classes that Ganga also cursed to come to material world, and the 8 Vasus were also cursed to take birth in the material world. But eventually, Bhishma appeared. One of the Vasu appeared as Bhishma. Of course, it is not exactly Lord's plan. It is their own plan to assist in the Lord's pastimes. So like that you can see. So
Okay,
from
Prince.
logical point of view, we can say that Yamaraj might have can justify why he awarded the punishment to Mandavi Rishi. There could be some of the law books might be stating about that punishment also, but it did not justify. He just want to be part of the Lord's mission. He simply accepted and came down. So like that we can see.
Okay, Prince.
Hmm.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Vidura is the son of Vyas, no? Then why he is called Dasiputra? In those days, ladies are given more importance like that.
There is a proverb comes in Vedic literature.
Ah.
Matru Jati Pitru Lakshan.
Acha.
The children will get, of course, according to the modern terminology, the caste of mother. See, I'll give you one example.
Ah.
If a Brahmana marries a Brahmani, what will be their children called as?
Brahmana.
If a Brahmana marries a Kshatrani, what will be the children of Kshatrani called as?
Brahmana only.
Nine.
Father
Kshatriyas.
is Acha.
Kshatriyas. Here only we have the example, na? It is through Vyasdev, Ambika and Ambalika begot children, Dhritarastra and Pandu. Then Dhritarastra and Pandu supposed to be Brahmanas. Why they became Kshatriyas?
Ah.
If a Brahmana marries Vaishya, the children are called as
Vaishya.
Vaishya. Yeah, somewhat Vaishya. I'll give you one example. Pandava's father was Pandu. Pandu's father was Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya's father was Shantanu.
Shantanu.
Okay, sorry. Not this example. Krishna's example. No, this is not Pandavas. On the side of Krishna. See, we have Vasudev. Vasudev's father was Shurasen.
Ah.
We have Nanda Maharaj. Nanda Maharaj's father was Parjanya.
Ah.
Shurasen and Parjanya's father is Pratipa. Both of them have same father. But Shurasen's mother was a Kshatrani. Parjanya's mother was a Vaishya lady. As a result of that, Parjanya, Vasudev, they all became known as Vaishyas. Shurasen, Vasudev, they all became known as Kshatriyas. So this is the Vedic understanding. So since Vidura is the son of the maid servant, so he was called as Dasiputra.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now from 17th verse onwards, our Vidura starts instructions. Evam gruheshu saktanam pramattanam tadihaya atyakramada vignata kala paramadustara.
Insurmountable eternal time imperceptibly overcomes those who are too much attached to family affairs and are always engrossed in their thought.
This is one of the interesting philosophical point. It says that insurmountable time overtook those attached to their houses and intoxicated with the household affairs without their knowledge. So the previous verse talked about Yudhishthira Maharaj. After many years of worship, Yudhishthira Maharaj became the king of Hastinapur and establishing a religious governance, and is apparently happy by the presence of Parikshit Maharaj, still alive. Though they lost their own children, but Parikshit Maharaj is still alive. They have the hope that he will continue our dynasty. They were happy. Now on the other side, Dhritarashtra's condition is depicted based on this verse. This verse actually depicts the condition of Dhritarashtra. Insurmountable time overtook those attached to their houses and intoxicated with household affairs without their knowledge. Later on in the future verses, we understand that Though Dhritarashtra schemed so many evil means to kill Pandavas, to destroy the Pandavas from very root. But now, even though Pandavas have killed the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra is still living in the palace of Pandavas, but he himself considering as the king of Hastinapur. He does not want to give up that position. He is still attached to family life, still attached to the palace life, palace comforts, and still attached to the throne of Hastinapur. Their intelligence is overtaken by the influence of time. So that is understanding here. This verse specifically directed towards Dhritarashtra. Though time controls everyone, everyone is under the control of supervision of time. Everyone is supposed to die one day. But some people become illusioned by the effect of time. They can't understand what is right, what is wrong. That is the condition of Dhritarashtra now. This verse is a criticism of people other than Yudhishthira and his family present at that time. It has already been said that he was unattached to everything except the Lord. Shuditasya etetare. He was completely attached to the Lord and nothing else. So in the previous chapter, 12th chapter, verse number 6, it was mentioned that though he had the kingdom which is desired by the Devatas, he had the fame of the opulence of, we have so many opulence that even desired by the Devatas. He had name and fame which is desired by Devatas, but he was not at all happy because of all those things. He was only happy because Mukunda Manaso Dvija. His heart is completely dedicated to Lord Mukunda. That was the only one thing which is sustaining him, which is nourishing him, which is giving him happiness. So that was the whole thing. He had all wealth, sacrifices, planets, queens, brothers, sovereignty over the entire earth, lordship over Jambudipa, and fame in Swarga, which is desirable even for the Devatas. Did these things give joy to the king, whose mind was only fixed on Mukunda without deviation and nothing else? No. Though he might have had so many appliances, they never gave him happiness. Though he had everything, but he was never attached to all those things. His only source of happiness is contemplation upon Lord Mukunda, his dedication unto Lord Mukunda. So it is like that. Otherwise, if that is not there, everyone else will be under the subjugation of time. Hayur arati vaipumsham udyan asto chayannasau. Tasyarte yat kshanonita uttama shloka vartaya. Both rising and setting of sun decreases one day in our lifespan. Hayur arati vaipumsham udyam astam chayannasau. Every sunrise and every sunset will take away one day from our lifespan. Our lifespan is already fixed. We cannot extend it. But every rising and setting of sun will take away one day. But tasya rite yat kshano nita uttama shloka vataya. But except for those who utilize their time by discussing the topics of Supreme Lord. Uttama shloka vartaya. We call na news. What do you call news in your vernacular language in Marathi? Batmi. Hindi? Samachar. Any other language? Khabar. In Telugu we call vartalu. News means vartalu. So uttama shloka vartaya. Vartaya means vishesh. Samachar, vishesh. Vartalap. That is like that. So those people who talk about uttama shloka, whose main news is only about uttama shloka, their time will never be depleted. Otherwise, every rising and setting of sun will deplete our day. We have so many news channels now. 24/7. They are taking away our 24 hours, 7 days. But those who engage in hearing Krishna Katha, discussing Krishna Katha, contemplating upon Krishna Katha, even though their lifespan is increasing, but they are indifferent to that. Because they know, while living here in this body, in this world, we need to do Krishna Katha only. Having gone to spiritual world also, you know, do same thing only. For them, there will be no difference. So in that way, time does not affect such kind of devotees. This is not an activity which can be delayed. Uttama Shloka Varta. Krishna Katha ka Vartalap karna cannot be delayed. Because every rising and setting of sun steals away men's lives, except the life where there arises the opportunity for hearing topics of Krishna. Or the sun steals away life, except the life where even just a moment is spent in the topics of the Lord. Something like that. Now, if not the whole day 24/7, but even some part of the day, if it is spent in Krishna Katha, their life is not stolen by sun. So it's like that. So that is the understanding of time.
Sun and time are interrelated.
When sun rises and sets, only time passes. If there is no sun, can you calculate? Can you count time? Though your wristwatch might be running automatically, but without sun, can you correlate the passing of time? So it's like that. So condition is set up. What is the condition of Yudhishthir? What is the condition of Dhritarastra? Now Vidura is going to talk to Dhritarastra. The starting from 18th verse, many more verses, Vidura very strongly speaks to Dhritarashtra. Vidura, sorry. So before going that, can someone read the purport, the first paragraph? Online, can someone read the paragraph, first paragraph? Some interesting points Prabhupada states in this.
Which verse 18, Prabhuji, or 17?
17th only, 17th first paragraph.
I am now happy. I have everything in order. My bank balance is quite enough. I can now give my children enough estate. I am now successful. The poor beggar sannyasis depend on God, but they come to beg from me. Therefore, I am more than the super God. These are some of the thoughts which engross the insanely attached householder who is blind in the passing of eternal time. Our duration of life is measured and no one is able to enhance it even by a second against the scheduled time ordained by the supreme will. Such valuable time, especially for the human being, should be cautiously spent because even a second passed away imperceptibly cannot be replaced, even in exchange of thousands of golden coins amassed by hard labor. Every second of human life is meant for making an ultimate solution to the problems of life, that is, repetition of birth and death revolving in the cycle of 84 lakhs different species of life. The material body, which is subject to birth and death, disease and old age, is the cause of all sufferings of the living being. Otherwise, the living being is eternal. He is never born, nor he does ever die. Foolish persons forget this problem. They do not know at all how to solve the problems of life, but become engrossed in temporary family affairs, not knowing that eternal time is passing away imperceptibly and that their measured duration of life is diminishing every second. Without any solution to the big problem, namely repetition of birth and death, disease and old age. This is called illusion.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is the condition of the current day society. So, the Prabhupada writes in the first 3 lines. So what are the life ambitions of people in general? Now I am happy. I have everything in order. My bank balance is quite enough. I can now give my children enough estate. I am now successful. The poor beggar sannyasis depend on God, but they come to beg from me. Therefore, I am more than the supreme God. Ishwaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balavansuki. So that is the general mentality of the people in this material world. So, but the problem with this mentality is, so with this mentality, we may do so much scientific progress in so many things. They all might be increasing our standard of living and facilities for luxury, etc., etc. But they can never solve the real problems of life. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, which can only be solved by bhakti. So that they become ignorant of. That's why it is Hayur Arati Vaipamsham Udyam Atsav Chayanasau. They, even though they may be so much advancing, materially speaking, but every rising and setting of sun will take away one day from their lifespan. Ultimately, one may become greatest of all the greatest people, the well-known famous people. At the end of death, again they have to take birth as a normal human being only. Becoming a materially famous person is not a qualification to come back to God. So in that way.
We also, that is mentioned, insurmountable time does not take the attachment to the things, only take the, we have to consciously develop it.
What is that understanding is? Insurmountable time overtook those attached to their houses and intoxicated with household affairs without their knowledge. It is the effect of time. How? Satya Yuga, the mentality was quite serene. Treta Yuga little reduced. Dwapara Yuga little bit reduced. Kali Yuga it's almost gone. Now the atmosphere is like that. Atmosphere itself is surcharged with mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Even though somebody want to be determined to practice bhakti, cannot practice. The time is influencing everyone. The atmosphere is do these things only. If somebody is not doing these things, he will be criticized in society. So that is the influence. Thus, the insurmountable time means uncontrollable time. Time cannot be controlled by anybody. So that time overtook those attached to their houses and intoxicated with household affairs without their knowledge. The time steals away their knowledge because they have showed their qualification that they want to continue this material world by being so much attached to their houses and household affairs. Basically, time facilitating them. A person is attached to house, time says, yes, you are the best person in this world. Still continue that attachment. Simple. Time is simply facilitating one's desire in this material world. So from the point of view of the scriptures, their intelligence has gone. Time. So they cannot understand what is good for them, what is not good for them. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Durashayaye bahirartha manina. They can't understand what is their real benefit. Swa artha gatim. Artha means the meaningful. Swa means for their own self. Gatim, the ultimate destination. Nate vidu. They can't understand that Lord Vishnu is supposed to be their true final destination. Instead, Durashayaye bahirartha manina. Out of too much desire, material desire, Durasha, they look for outside objects as the most valuable goals of life. Bahir artha manina. What is there outside? Lord Vishnu is there in the heart of the core of the heart. They are forgetting that. They look outside. They want to have everything outside. Bahir artha manina. They consider the outside things are the most valuable things to be obtained in the life. That kind of people are cheated by the influence of time. Then Prahlad Maharaj says that Parabhavastavad abodha jato yavanna jignasaya atmatattvam. Parabhavastavad abodha jato yavanna jignasaya atmatattvam. Till the time when a conditioned soul starts making inquiry into Atma Tattva, Jignasaya Atma Tattvam, till that time, one will be royally cheated by the influence of time or Maya, whatever we can say. Parabhavas, in all their endeavors to become successful, they will be defeated. Identity. Atato Brahma Jignasa. It's like that. That is what happens. So, from the time's point of view, in one lifetime, one may become a very highly successful person. After that lifespan ends, where will be success? Will he continue the same position in the next life? Is he really successful? So that is understanding. So from the very scripture's point of view, in this life, apparently people be successful persons. But next life, when they are born, where will be their success? We don't know whether they will get human birth or not. So from that point of view, parabhavastavad abodho jato yavanna jignasaya atmatattvam. Till the time they start inquiring into absolute truth, all their endeavors are simply defeated.
Illusion.
Defeated. Parabhavas. Parabhava means they are defeated in that way. So that is understanding. So now Vidura is going to start. Vidurastad vipretya Dhritarastram abhasata Rajan nirgamyatam shigram Pashedam vayamagatam.
Mahatma Vidura knew all this, and therefore he addressed Dhritarashtra saying, "My dear king, please get out of here immediately. Do not delay. Just to see how fear has overtaken you."
Yeah. Vidurastad abhipretya Dhritarastram abhasata. Knowing that his time approaching, Vidura spoke to Dhritarashtra. O king, Rajan, nirgamyatam shigram. You should leave immediately. Nirgamyatam shigram. Get out of the home immediately. Shigram. Pashedam. Pashaidam vayamagatam. See, fearful time is approaching. What is that? What is here fearful time? Dhritarashtra already became sufficiently old. Any time he can die. Here kalam is synonymous to death. So, my dear Raja. So, he's sarcastically calling him as Rajan. No. Even though Yudhishthira Maharaj is the king of the entire Hastinapur kingdom, but Yudhishthira never felt like that. He always felt that, so my father, Dhritarashtra is the king. I'm only representing him and ruling the kingdom, taking care of the responsibility of administration. Actual king is Dhritarashtra. And Yudhishthira would always say that. So my dear uncle or my dear father, whatever you would address, he would always say that I am not the king. You are actually the king. On your behalf, I am taking care of the people. He would always say, being a gentleman, he would always say that. He would never say that I am the king. You are a age-old man, stay quiet. Not like that, he would never speak. He would always say that you are the king. Actually, you are the king. You are like my father, you are the king. As long as you are alive, you are the king. I am only your representative. So, Dhritarashtra, at least as a courtesy, should say that, no, I am not the king, beta. You are the king, you carry on. I am a retired person, like that he should say. But he would never say. Because it is his desire to be called as, to be addressed as king from the very beginning. So, बचपन से उनका सपना था वो. So, that because of that one reason, he wanted Pandavas to be killed so that he will be remain king. After him, his son Duryodhana will continue the king. His blood relation will continue the king. That was his whole soul. Dhritarashtra means he was holding onto the throne of Hastinapur very firmly. Dhrita means fixed, determined. Rashtra means he is determined to hold on to the Rashtra. That means to the throne. So that is the mentality of Dhritarashtra. So he was still identifying himself as the king of Hastinapur. Though he became invalid, his body became old. So that Vidura is reminding him. Oh, my dear brother, you are thinking yourself as a king, but can't you understand that death is approaching? Get out of the home. How long you want to continue to live in this palatial palaces, enjoying all the opulences given by Yudhishthira Maharaj? He speaks very harshly to Dhritarashtra. So Prabhupada writes somewhere in the middle of the purport, says that everyone is a servant of eternal time, and therefore no one can be the king in this material world. Even though if someone becomes king, one cannot continue as a king for a long time. Everyone will have small tenure only. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, not more than that. Time will destroy everyone. So that's what he is indicating by calling Rajan. You may think yourself as the Raja of Hastinapur, but you are not. Time does not allow you to continue on as a Raja for a long time. Therefore, Vidura asked him to get out immediately. if he wanted to be saved from the fearful situation which was approaching him fast. If at all he want to be saved from the repeated cycle of birth and death, he should come out of the comfortable situation of family life or palace life and do the needful as a Kshatriya. Because it is a mandate for Kshatriyas that they cannot continue in the palace for long. Either they should die in the battlefield or they should die in the forest as Vanaprastha. They cannot die at home. That is a mandate for Kshatriyas. At a right time, they need to make their son the king, next king, and they should go to forest for Vanaprastha order. In the Vanaprastha, they cannot take sannyas. Kshatriyas are not supposed to take sannyas. So they should die as either as Vanaprastha or in the battlefield, anywhere. So he's already old, he's not going to the forest. He might think that I'm a blind person, where I'll go. Something like that. But Vidura is very strong. Shigram nirgamatam. Get out of the home. Enough is enough. Both ho gaya. Enjoyment both ho gaya. Get out. Take to Vanaprastha order. Follow the strict tapasya of Vanaprastha order. Vanaprastha means tapasya, basically. So in that way. He further continues. Pratikriya na yasyeha kutaschet karhichit prabho sayesha bhagavan kala sarvesham na samagata.
This frightful situation cannot be remedied by any person in this material world. My Lord, it is the Supreme Personal Godhead as eternal time, Kala, that has approached us all.
O Master, the supremely powerful time, which no one can stop, has approached us all. Pratikriya na yasya iha. In this material world, no one can control the time. Can anyone stop the movement of sun? Can anyone stop the movement of time? No one can control. Everyone is telling that, including myself. Even though myself I am Yamaraj, I also cannot control time. Pratikriya na yasyeha kutaschit karhita prabhu. Sayesha Bhagavan Kala. Why? Kala is non-different from Bhagavan himself. It is Bhagavan himself manifesting as Kala. Who can control him? Sarveshamna Samagata. Who is approaching us? Who is causing the birth of us, the stay of us and death of us? How can we stop Kala? Kala is seeing Kala as non-different from Supreme Lord himself. That's why he says that time is insurmountable. Time cannot be contracted, na patikriya. And all of us are under the control of time. By saying all, Sarvesham, Vidura indicates that time had approached even those who should be able to prevent the actions of time. So, in good sense, even though some people can overcome the influence of time by being the fully devoted devotees, but still they also respect time and follow the dictates of time. For example, Pandavas, they are pure devotees. Whether they are here in the spiritual, they are devotees only. But still they follow all the dictates of time. In their entire life is the witness for that. Whatever time instructed, they followed in that way. So it is like that. Prabhupada writes here in this purport that old age is the notice of the arrival of death served by the cruel time, and no one can refuse to accept either someone calls or the supreme judgment of eternal time. Can anyone, by giving a judgment or by sending some court notice, can stop the fast approaching death? Can anyone stop? Can anyone has the potency to stop the death? If death comes, we need to surrender, that's all. No one can say, so my dear, their deaths are, can you come after 1 week? Can anyone say like that? No. If death comes, one need to surrender, that's all. Whatever may be plans one I made in already, death cannot be checked by anyone or from any source within this material world. Hiranyakashipu himself wanted immortality. He could not get it. Then what to speak of us who are ordinary mortals? So it is like that. Na pratikriya. There is no contraction to the time. And then he continues. Ena chaiva vipannoyam pranai priyatameraphi janas sadyo viyujjeta kimutanya erdanadevi.
Whoever is
Whoever
under
is the influence of supreme call, the internal time, must surrender his most dear life and what to speak of other things, such as wealth, honor, children, land, and home.
Okay. It's a graphical explanation of death. Attacked by time, a person is separated immediately from his beloved life heirs. Then what to speak of other things like wealth, etc., etc. What is death? Hare Krishna, I'm asking all of you. What is death?
End of this life.
and the body.
Okay, not like that. In your vernacular language, when somebody dies, how do you say? What do you
Passed
say?
away. Passed away.
I'm asking in your vernacular language, not English.
Poyachu.
Sharir chod diya.
చచ్చిపోయింది
Poyachu.
చచ్చిపోయింది
చనిపోయింది గయే.
హరే కృష్ణ
Hare
चले
Krishna.
गए
ఎంత
चले गए. Count चले गए.
The soul has gone.
Soul.
No, no one will say that soul has gone. Have you ever heard in your vernacular language somebody dies, they say that soul has gone?
No.
In their
No.
respective language?
नाम बताएंगे गुरुजी उनका वो
The
Amma
person.
poyachu. Amma poyachu.
mother
Appa poyachu.
mother अच्छा
No, appa bhai.
स्वर्गवास हो गए
No, no, not like that. You just think of it. What they say. ऐसे बोलते हैं क्या?
प्राण उपके हो गए। हिंदी में इधर से भगवान आत्मा को शांति दे।
स्वर्गवास हो गए
Okay, स्वर्गवास हो गया. That is maybe good way. Generally they say that उनका आयु खत्म हो गया. Not English, no English. I'm asking in your vernacular languages, your mother tongue.
हाँ कालम తీరిపోయిందంట गुरुजी
उनका काल खत्म हो गया.
Kalamai. Kalamachu.
Kalam acha. Yes, perfect. Or here our Prabhuji is saying that pranavayu gaya. Actually, they don't say pranavayu gaya. They say that pran chile gaya. Pran chile gaya.
Dehant ho gaya.
Sorry?
Dehant ho gaya. Kalamachu.
Yeah, dehant ho gaya. Dehant ho gaya is like more respectable way of saying, but in general, casual way of saying is that Ramayan. If you remember last week I mentioned, I don't know whether to you or some other class. Ramayan, whether it is a drama or movie or serial or whatever it is, there always one song comes. Pran jaye par vachan na jaye. They are eager to give, I mean, they are ready to give their life, Kshatriyas, but not the word. Like example of Shibi Maharaj, just for the sake of a bird, he wanted to give flesh, his own life also. And Harichandra, just for the sake of word, he gave up everything. All the wealth he went to forest. And Lord Ram also, just for the word which Dashrath Mata gave to Kaiketi, he went to forest. So something like that. Pran jaye, pran chile gaye. In Telugu we call pranam poyindi. Poyindi means chile gaya. Pran jaye, pran gaya. Or dehant also not much used. So ayu. आयु चले गए उनका आयु समाप्त हो गया
आयु తీరిపోయిందంట
yes so here it is saying that in Sanskrit this prana is called as ashu we call na nishwasa ushwasa inhaling and exhaling so that inhaling and exhaling both combined is called as ashu. Gauram Prabhu always says that this one nice phrase asu ramante iti asura. Who are the asuras? Asuras are those who love their breathing. That means basically asuras those who want to live for a long time, who want to live long. or what else? Then in what you can say, in the English writing, they say that he has breathed his last breath.
Oh,
Yes. Have you read anywhere like that? He has breathed his last breath.
His last. Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So that is the end of the breathing. So in that way. So here it is there prana. Prana priyatamer. The most lovable object for every living in the material world is their prana. One can give up everything, whatever one may have. One can give up one's own home, one's property, one's bank balance under some dangerous circumstances, especially in the corona, in the last couple of years, if you see, when people came to know that they have got corona, they are ready to pay lakhs of rupees per day for the only one reason. They want to remain alive. For the protection of their family member, the entire family member sold off their many properties, paid lakhs of rupees to the hospitals, so that their beloved person can continue to live in this world. So prana is the most lovable object for everyone. We can give away everything that we possess within our control, but not prana, but not our life. That is the attachment we have for prana. Pranai priyatamer. But that prana is supposed to be given up at the time of death. So the understanding is that for the sake of continuing our prana, our ayu, our life, we are ready to give up everything else that we possess in this world. It is like when someone is traveling on the road alone, either bike or car, some thief stopped him, some mob stopped him, and they opened their sword or revolver. They put gun on the head. So will that person say that, no, you take my life, but don't take my car, don't take my purse, don't take my credit cards? Will any person say like that? Hare Krishna online. Will any
No
person say
person. No, no Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
they'll be ready to give up everything, but not their life? Because life is dear to everyone. Prana priyatamayar. The topmost, dearmost object for everyone is their life. Nothing more than that.
Prabhuji, I have doubt, Prabhuji.
What doubt, Ruji?
Actually, in verse 17, you said that both by raising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, but those who are engaged in devotion service. So, how can we understand, Prabhuji, भक्तों को कैसे मतलब बचेंगे इस काल से कैसे बचेंगे मतलब?
See, people in general, they are not ready to give up their life. Devotees are ready to give up their life. That is the most happiest occasion for them. Death means entry into spiritual world. Who does not want it? For a fully surrendered devotee. Which devotee says no to go back home back to God? Please tell me. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, understood.
So like that we should see. But by the way, anyway, I cannot say we, but for the matter of sake, I'm saying. So most of us may not be pure devotees. So we need to go through death. We may have to take few more lifetimes. So we don't know. So a devotee honorably welcomes death. He understands that death is the loving embrace of Lord Krishna. So devotee understands that even though I may be getting death, but Lord Krishna is so merciful that he will give me birth in the association of devotees in the next life. That is the only prayer of devotees always.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So that is what we see in the entire fourth canto. We see all the devotees are offering this prayer only. Let me take birth after birth, no problem. But make sure that, my dear Lord, keep me in the company of devotees. This is only one request I have from you. Because in the association of devotees, there is always Uttama Shloka Varta. So it's like that. Otherwise, in the association of SBN, BBC, what are the local news channels? Asta, Aaj Tak, and what is
India.
Surya. Yeah, in the association of all these things, we will be always continue to expose to material news. In the association of devotees, we are exposed to spiritual news. Uttama Shloka Varta. So that was the desire of all the devotees. At the end of the first canto, Parishit Maharaj prays that Punascha Bhuyat Bhagavati Anante Rati Pratangascha Tadashrayeshu Masu Yam Yam Upayami Srishtim Maitrasu Sarvatra Namo Dijabhya. He says that Mastu Yam Yam Upayami Srishtim. As a result of my bad karma, as a result of my sinful activities, if I am supposed to take birth again and again, no problem. I will take birth. I am not asking excuse from that. But three things. Punascha Bhuyad. If at all I take birth once again, my dear Lord, Bhagavati Anante Rati. Let me have attraction towards the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. Ananta, who is unlimited, unlimited Bhagavan. Bhagavati Anante Rati. What are the verse? Punascha Bhuyad Bhagavati Anante Rati Prasangach Tadashrayeshu. Prasangascha Tadashrayeshu. Sangha means association. Prasanga means special association, not a casual association. Intimate, close association. With whom? Tadashrayeshu is devotees. Second desire. First one is attachment to Supreme Lord. Second is attach, close, intense association with the devotees. Third one is, Maitrastu Sarvatra. Let me have friendly disposition towards all the living entities. This is the desire of Parikshit Maharaj. Such kind of desires are there, expressed by Dhruva Maharaj, Prutu Maharaj, Prachetas, and everyone in the future part of the Bhagavatam. This is what Bhagavatam is teaching us. What kind of prayer we are supposed to cultivate. So it is like that. If we don't cultivate that prayer, we are over, what we can say, there is some word used. Basically, we are influenced by time. We are influenced by the surroundings. We are influenced by the influence of material nature, etc., etc. Otherwise, this is the only way for us to get out of this material existence. There is no other way other than the association of devotees. So that is the one of the principal teaching of entire Bhagavatam. So that's what here is saying, that pranai priyatamer. For the sake of prana, we are ready to give up everything. But at the time of death, we need to give up the prana also. Oh, we cannot tell the death representative to that. So, my dear death, you can take my home, you can take my car, you can take my bank balance, you can take all the jewelry in the Kalmara, you can take all my property, you can take this, you can take that. We cannot bargain with death. So, death comes and takes away the prana. So, it is like that. So, attacked by time, a person is separated immediately from his beloved life heirs. Then what to speak of other things such as wealth and etc. etc. So if somebody is ready to give up everything for the sake of prana, if prana is taken, then what to speak of others? Others are also taken away automatically. So it is like that. So why is Vidura saying this? So my dear Dhritarastra ji, you are attached to your current position being called as Raja. You are attached to your opulent palaces in which you are living. You are attached to opulent facilities that are provided by Yudhishthira Maharaj, all the things. You are attached to your body, all these things. But how long you will continue to become attached? Death is coming, running fast. Death will take away your prana. Then what? Then how will you enjoy all these things? Kindly understand it. So like that is indicating. So if death takes away prana, you will be bereft of you all other things such as wealth, honor, children, land, home, onto which you are currently attached to. So it is like that. So very subtly is instructing him that kindly become at least now a man of sense, a sensible person, and do the needful. Therefore, Prabhupada writes, the conclusion is that there is no powerful living being within the universe who can overcome the influence of time. No one can influence the time. No one can control the influence of time. Afflicted by time in the form of death, a person is separated from his life heirs. Death means separation from our life heirs. So it is like that. पितृभातृ सुहृत्पुत्र अतास्ते विगतं ययवयो आत्मा च जरया ग्रस्त परगेहम् उपाससे.
Your father, well-wishers, and sons are all dead and passed away. You yourself have expended the major portion of your life. Your body is now overtaken by invalidity, and you are living in the home of another.
Here he kind of reveals graphically. Your father passed away, your brothers passed away, your friends passed away, and your sons also killed. Everyone died. Your youth has gone. Pitru, Bratru, Suhrut, Putra, Ataste, Vigatam, Vayo. Vaya means youth. Your youth has been departed. In youth, a person might want to enjoy in the midst of lot of opulences and different people, etc. But that is gone. Your source of enjoyment. The body is afflicted by old age. Atma cha jaraya grastam. Janma mrityu jara vyadi. Your youth has already gone. Now you have become old. Parageham upasase. Paragruham upasase. You are actually living in other person's house. Since your father passed away, your brother passed away, your well-wishers passed away, your sons passed away, and there is no one to say these people are mine. And instead you are living somebody else's home. What kind of attachment do you have for all these things? And you are still attached to enjoyment. In spite of your youth has been lost, you have become old. So it's like that. 7 verses starting from verse number 21 to 27. Vidura teaches the importance of cultivating renunciation. So here the point is that even in spite of becoming old, you are about to die, still you are not developing any renunciation. So with that in mind, very strongly he speaks from 21 to 27 in order to inspire renunciation within the heart of Dhritarastra. So Prabhupada writes somewhere in the little old at the end of the purport, he says that Vidura wanted to point out to Dhritarashtra that everyone has to protect himself by his actions and by the grace of the Supreme Lord. One has to execute his duty faithfully, depending for the result on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, in youth, you continued as a king, but now you have become old. It is your duty now to go to forest and perform austerities as a Vanaprastha. Follow your duty, depending on the Supreme Lord. You cannot go against the system set up in this world. So it is not at all good for you like that. He is instructing. So now the various symptoms of the old age are indicated. Your youth has passed away and you are Jaraya Grastam. You have been overtaken by the old age. And what are the different conditions of the old age? They are mentioned in the 22nd and 23rd verse. Andam Puraiva Vidiro Manda Prajnacha Sampratam Vishirna Danto Mandagni Saraga Kafamudbaham.
You have been blind from your very birth, and recently you have become hard of hearing. Your memory is shortened, and your intelligence is disturbed. Your teeth are loose, your liver is defective, and you are coughing up mucus.
So these are the various symptoms of old age. Vidura is saying that You are blind from the very birth. Andha pura eva. From the very birth, you are born blind. You are now become deaf. Vadiro. Now you can't hear anymore. People have to come very close to you and they have to shout loud, then only you will understand. Manda prajna, and you are feeble-witted. Your intelligence also reduced. And your teeth are broken. Vishirna danta, old age the teeth will break. Mandagni, your digestion has become weak. They can't eat everything in the old age. And then Saraga kapamudvahan, and your body is full of mucus and you are continuously coughing. Saraga. Raga means beautiful melody. And in the old age, you are continuously coughing as if somebody is singing. Sarcastically saying that. Kapha mudvaham, your whole body is filled with kapha, it keep coming out in the form of coughing. Still, you are attached to the enjoyment of kingly opulences. That is what Vidura is pointing out to Dhritarastra. In spite of being overtaken by the old age, you are never thinking about going to forest and performing austerity. You are still attached to kingly opulences. So Prabhupada writes, the symptoms of old age, which had already developed in Dhritarashtra, were all one after the another pointed out to him as warning that death was nearing very quickly. So it is like that. Then later on in the purport, sometime below, Prabhupada writes that saints and sages like Vidura approach such foolish men to awaken them to the real situation. But they take such sadhus and saints as parasites of society, and almost all of them refuse to hear the words of such sadhus and saints, although they welcome show-bottle sadhus and so-called saints who can satisfy their senses. Vidura was not a sadhu. Vidura was not a sadhu to satisfy the ill-gotten sentiment of Dhritarashtra. He was correctly pointing out the real situation of life. And how can one save oneself from such catastrophes? So Vidura is not like a show bottle sadhu who comes and pampers the wealthy man just to get some donations. Not like that. He is really pointing out what is his mistake so that the renunciation can be developed in the heart of Dhritarashtra. Because it is need of the hour. He is quite old in that sense. So then he continues. Aho mayyashi jantor जीविताशायता भवान् भीमापवर्जितं पिण्डम् आदत्ते गृहपालवत्.
Alas, how powerful are the hopes of a living being to continue his life. Verily, you are living just like a household dog and are eating remnants of food given by Bhima.
He takes on strong weapon now. He says that Aho mahiyasi jantor jivitasha yata bhavan. So strong is the desire to live among all creatures. Aho mahiyasi jantor jivitasha yata bhavan. See the personalities like you, in spite of being all the reversals, still want to continue in this material world. How? Like a log. Gruha palavat. The caretaker of the house is a dog. Gruha palavat. Just like a dog, you still want to continue to live on this material world. You take the food given by Bhima, apavarjitam pindam. Bhima, apavarjitam pindam. Generally, the dog is tied in front of the home so that the trespassers will not be allowed inside. And the dog is offered some food, the leftover remnants, morning, afternoon, evening, something like that. Here, this verse and next verse he continues further. He says that, see, this is very astonishing that you still want to continue to live in the midst of these kingly opulences, and you are subsisting on the food remnants given by Bhima, whom you wanted to kill with your own hands. When Dhritarashtra wanted to kill Bhima with his own hands, when Pandavas returned to Hastinapur, understanding that Bhima killed Duryodhana and other sons of Dhritarashtra, he called him just to embrace. After embracing him, he wanted to kill Bhima. So he wanted to kill Bhima, but now Bhima only giving food to him, and is basically indirectly saying that can't you have any shame? You wanted to kill the Pandavas many times. You wanted to kill Bhima specifically, and you are living the food given by him only, and you are living like a household dog. How can you continue like this? So very strongly he is speaking. So Prabhupada writes that a sadhu, sorry, a sadhu should never flatter kings or rich men to live comfortably at their cost. A sadhu is to speak the householder about the naked truth of life so that they may come to their senses about the precarious life in material existence. So why he is doing like this? Prabhupada later on writes that because he wanted to continue his life comfortably even at the risk of all humiliation. Vidura therefore was astonished how powerful is the urge to continue life. This sense of continuing one's life indicates that a living being is eternally a living entity and does not want to change his bodily habitation. But a sadhu like Vidura is meant to awaken such blind persons and thus help them to go back home back to Godhead with a life where life is eternal. So basically why this verse is specifically called as Bhima Apavarjitam? Dhritarashtra had 100 sons, but out of them he liked Duryodhana and Dushasana very much. He supported all their whims and fancies. But it is Bhima who killed them. And then he wanted to kill Bhima. And that Bhima only supplying food to him right now. Generally, if there is an enmity between two people, he will never accept food from enemy. But you are accepting food from an enemy whom you treated as enemy, like a dog, household dog. So he is actually scolding very heavily, Vidura. Vidura is scolding very heavily. So then, different instances where Dhritarashtra schemed to various plans to kill Pandavas, they are mentioned in the next verse. Agnirnishrusto dattascha garo darascha doshita Thritam kshetram danam yesham taddatte ashubhikiyat.
There is no need to live a degraded life and subsist on the charity of those whom you tried to kill by arson and poisoning. You also insulted one of their wives and usurped their kingdom and wealth.
What is the use of life maintained by food given by those whom you tried to burn? Agni. Agni indicates that Dhritarashtra wanted the Pandavas to be burnt alive in Varnavat. And Gara indicates poison. Garalam we call. Garala means poison. So the Bhima was given poison in the beginning. And even that lakh house, the Pandavas, the entire setup is made that the Pandavas should be given poisonous food so that they will eat it and become unconscious. Then the whole house can be burnt. So that the entire event will be like house is burnt and the Pandavas died. That will be the news outside. That was the plot of Dhritarashtra and the Kauravas. And then whose wife you insulted? Darascha Dushita. So Dhritarashtra gave permission to Duryodhana to disrobe the clothes of Draupadi. Insulted. And then whose land and wealth you stole? Hritam Kshetram Danam Esham. So by gambling match, you stole away their kingdom, their wealth and everything and sent them to forest. And today, even though you have done so many things to the Pandavas, but today you are living on the mercy of those Pandavas. What kind of shameless person are you? Something like that. He is scolding his elder brother Dhritarashtra. What is the use of such life attained by food given by them. Tad dattair kiyat ashubir. So in that way. Any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji, it is clear.
The system of Varnashram
Hmm.
set aside a part of their life completely for the purpose of self-realization.
From where you are reading?
Paragraph first line.
First line. Okay, the system of Varnashrama religion sets aside a part of one's life completely for the purpose of self-realization and attainment of salvation in the human form of life. That's what we are talking about. Vanaprastha order. As a householder, one is entitled to enjoy all the facilities. To get rid of all of that, to get renounced from all those appliances, one need to enter into Vanaprastha order. He is not entering into Vanaprastha. That is the problem with Dhritarastra. So Vidura is saying that time has come. Time already passed. Long back, you should have entered into Vanaprastha order. The time when Yudhishthir returned from Hastinapur after winning the war, after converting Yudhishthir, you must have gone to forest. 35 long years, you still stayed at home and enjoying kingly appliances, like a Gruha Palavat, like a household dog, being fed by those people whom you try to kill many times. So it's like that. So very strongly speaking. Yes, bro.
Is that
Louder.
just by passing of time, one cannot cultivate the renunciation. We have to consciously cultivate it.
हाँ.
Like in today's generation, there is no vanaprastha. How do we?
है ना, थोड़े रिटायरमेंट है, किसको भी उनका जॉब करने के नहीं देते गवर्नमेंट. 60 years renouncement, retirement. Retirement means vanaprastha in current modern context. They may not go to one. Vanaprastha comes from the word vanaprastha. They're supposed to go to vana, but it is at least retirement from the active life. So then, even though staying at home, they should cultivate the renunciation. That is what is expected. That is simple understanding. There was no training properly. That's why.
One does like.
Now it is in your hand. You should set up an example.
You can see us also. See.
So it's like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's very insignificant now. Though his elder brother is crossing the limits of his speech also in this.
Now he is not treating him as elder brother. Now he is like he himself gone through Vanaprastha order for last 35 years.
He's totally renounced.
He is no more treating himself like I am younger, you are elder. What is the age of Yamaraj and what is the age of the ordinary person? Dhritarastra. You know, see him as a great soul, as a great sadhu, renounced sadhu, like that.
Like sannyasi.
No. Is living as the life of Kshatriya till now. He is not sannyasi. He is a Vanaprastha. A Vanaprastha mendicant. Like that only you can read. Of course, like sannyasi we can say, like the respect which is given to sannyasi, like that.
In purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, need for the Viduras to educate such Dhritarashtra even at the present moment.
Prabhupada writes very strong statement. I did not read. It may feel very offensive to all of you. Says that time there was only one Dhritarashtra, but nowadays there is Dhritarashtra in every house. There is a need for such kind of Viduras who can speak harshly so that they will get some renunciation, like the Prabhupada writes in the purport. It's a very strong statement. I purposefully did not read it. Some devotees might feel offensive. So it's like that. At the end of the last line of the purport, Prabhupada writes, to stick to family life to the end of one's human life is the grossest type of degradation, and there is an absolute need for the Viduras to educate such Dhritarashtras. even at the present moment. So it's like that. Of course, and this is one simple point to understand, but the problem is that even though nowadays situations are like that, the parents cannot put hope on the children. So either way, children also do not have faith on the parents. Both of them want property. So the parents want to keep the property in their arms till the time of death. They'll say that who will take care of us if everything is given to children? They don't have faith on their children. In one sense, they don't have faith on their own training, the training they have given to their children. And the other side, the children says that how long he keeps all the papers with him? He is not giving us property. Give us, we want to do some business, start this, start that. Otherwise, it goes to the extent that when are you dying? It goes to the extent. If at all they give the properties to children, they'll say, oh, get out. Done. Enough is enough. So the current situation is like that. Neither the parents have faith on the children, nor the children have faith on the parents. So it is a precarious condition now. In the Vedic culture, if you see in the entire Bhagavatam, in the future chapters and future cantos, we see that understanding it is right time. They give all the responsibilities to the next generation, they go to the forest. Vanaprastha. That's all done. Enough is enough. So even though they have greatest of opulences, but they are not attached to all of them. They respect to Varnashrama culture, they follow. As a grahastha, live at home in the midst of all the opulences. When time is done, make the next person as the king and go to the forest. In the next 15th chapter, we'll see this in the case of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that is the lifestyle of the Vedic times. But nowadays we can't imagine what's happening nowadays around. Tasyapi dava dehoyam kripanasya jijivisho paraiti anichato jirno jaraya vasasiva.
Despite your unwillingness to die and your desire to live, even at the cost of honor and prestige, your miserly body will certainly dwindle and deteriorate like an old garment.
So Vidura says here, though wanting to live and not give the body up, your body, worn out with old age, is dying beyond your will, like two pieces of cloth. So here he says that, though wanting to live and not give up your body, but by the way, the body is already worn out and it has become old, is about to die. Even though you don't want that to happen, anichato api, even though you don't want your body should become old, but it is automatically becoming old. It is becoming useless. But still, you wanting to live in this particular body, in this particular worn out body, you don't want to give up the body. Jijivisho, you want to continue your life for long. But your body, like a cloth, is getting worn out very quickly. Vashamsh jirnani yata vihaya. And then
शरीराणि वासांसि जीर्णानि अन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि.
Navami dehe. Just like when the clothes are worn out, we cannot wear anymore. We will give up those clothes and wear new clothes. Similarly, when the body becomes old, it is of no use. The soul gives up that body and enters into a new body. So that is what is the situation at the time of death. So here Vidura is trying to say that paraiti means it is wasting away. Your body is becoming old and old, useless. Two pieces of cloth indicate the upper cloth and lower cloth. This indicates that both the gross body and subtle body have become worn out. In the case of Dhritarastra, the example is given that Jarayati Vasasi Iva. Just like clothes are becoming worn out, your body is also worn out. What are the body? Two bodies. One indicates gross body, other one indicates subtle body. How? The example is blindness and deafness indicate the decay of the subtle body, since the senses are subtle. And wrinkles and gray hair are the decay of the gross body. He is getting gray hair. There is so many wrinkles all over the body, indicate the gross body getting old. And subtle body getting old because of the deafness, blindness, losing intelligence, etc. etc. So in that way, Vidura is graphically indicating that you are becoming old. Can't you see that your gross body getting older, subtle body getting older, death is approaching very fast. Why still you want to continue to enjoy in these kingly opulences, etc. etc. So in the purport, Prabhupada talks about Brahmana and Krupana. Brahmana is the one who understands what is what and does what is needful at the right time of our need of the hour. And Krupana, he does not want to do what is supposed to be done. Instead, he want to continue his life for rest of eternity, something like that. Then Vidura continues, Gata swartam imam deham virakto mukta bandhana avijnata gatir jayat savaidira udahrita.
He is called undisturbed, who goes to an unknown remote place and freed from all obligations, quits his material body when it has become useless.
Now Vidura is saying that kindly become a dhira, kindly become a undisturbed person, or kindly become a intelligent, discriminate person. So he says that he is called wise, or he is called dhira, or he is called undisturbed. Who? What kind of person? Who gives up this body which has not been used to worship Krishna after rejecting wealth and sons and going where no one can find him while practicing bhakti. So he is telling that, so my dear brother, enough is enough. Till now you have been attached to so many kingly opulences. Now at least make an endeavor, make an attempt to become dhira. How to become dhira? Though you have not worshipped Lord Krishna till now with his body, anyway that body is becoming old, it is going to decay, it is going to die. But at least now, whatever limited time you have, use this body by giving up the wealth, family, children, etc. etc. and go to the forest and practicing some severe vows, give that up body. At least practice a kind of renunciation in this old age with this body, which was not at all used to serve Lord Krishna all these years. At least use it to get development, to get detachment, if not pure bhakti. So become dhira, become a wise, and at least try to understand now what is good for you, what is not good for you. So in that way is indicating. Gata swartam means afflicted with lamentation, illusion and old age because of not having performed worship of Lord Krishna. Mukta bandhanas means giving up the wealth and sons. Avijnata gati means going where no one knows. The word gives up should mean gives up the body at a holy place with devotion. Such a person is called wise. So become wise, become discriminate person, or become a undisturbed person. All these years you are always disturbed that I should be the king, I should be the king, I should be the king. If Pandu comes back, I will not become the king. Yudhishthira comes back, I will not be the king. So like that you are always disturbed. After me, my son should be the king, my son should be the king. Like that you are always disturbed. At least now develop some renunciation. Forget about all these king opulences, kingdom, etc. etc. So that's how Vidura is instructing Dhritarashtra at least to become dhira. Anyway, you cannot become pure devotee. At least to become dhira. So in that way. So, but the best is to become Narottama, to become a best of devotee, the best thing. That anyway you can't become, but I'll tell you what that is. Yasvakat parato veha jata nirveda atmavan hrudi kritva harim gehat pravrajesa narottama.
He is certainly a first-class man who awakens and understands, either by himself or from others, the falsity and misery of this material world, and thus leaves home and depends fully on the personality of Godhead residing within his heart.
So that kind of person is a first class human being, or a best of men, or a devotee. He is the best of men, Narottama, who gives up the house after developing discrimination by self-endeavor or by the inspiration derived from others, and eventually becoming detached while concentrating the mind on the Supreme Lord. Who will be Narottama? Narottama is that person by one's own endeavor, discrimination, or by hearing the favorable instructions given by some elevated souls, develops discrimination. What kind of discrimination? That he understands that this body is temporary, the material world is temporary, the material facilities are temporary. So let me not become attached to these material facilities and material body. Instead, let me become attached to the Supreme Lord. And with that detachment, such person continues to meditate on Supreme Lord. Hridi Kritva Arim. Hridi Krutva Arim. He invites Lord Hari into the core of the heart, and he continuously meditates upon that Lord Hari. And he develops detachment with the body. Gehem Prav Rajet. He gives up whatever attachment one has to the body and all the associated members with the body. So that is the understanding. Such kind of person is called as Narottama, who continuously meditates upon Supreme Lord. So anyway, you can't become this Narottama kind of personality. At least you become Dhira. That is the request of Vidura unto Dhritarastra. The best of men, Narottama, however, prepares his remedy for before old age. His qualities are described. Getting knowledge of himself or getting instruction from others, he develops proper discrimination. Atmavan means he understands that he is Atma, he is not the body. He is neither the gross body nor the subtle body. Otherwise, people in general in this material they identify with their gross body, subtle body. So, but this Atmavan, either by his own endeavor or by the instructions, good instructions of great souls, will understand what is what and acts upon it. So even while living at home, continues to practice the devotional activities and develops necessary discrimination, necessary detachment, and becomes ready to go back home, back to God at any point of time. So that is the understanding. Yes, Hare Krishna, somebody want to say something? So Prabhupada writes in the middle of the purport, he says that one should therefore practice devotional service at home, hearing and chanting the holy name quietly, form, hearing about the name quietly, and hearing about the form, pastimes, entourage, etc. in association with pure devotees. And this practice will help one awaken God consciousness in proportion to one's sincerity of purpose. So, considering the current day situation, Prabhupada does not say that one should go to the forest. Instead, he says that even though staying at home, continues to hear, chant, contemplate, and doing all the devotional activities with complete dedication. So, finally says that in proportion to one's sincerity of purpose, one's Krishna consciousness will be awakened. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam staiva vajamyam. Something like that. So now one example is given. Just as a merchant turns his heart towards money, a businessman works hard to get more and more money. Similarly, a devotee should turn his heart toward the Lord to achieve the Lord. Businessman is greedy to get more money, more profit. So he makes so many plans and schemes to get more profits. Similarly, a devotee should make so many plans and schemes to get the Lord. Such kind of person is the best of men. The austere sannyasi is the wise man. Austere sannyasi or vanaprastha is a wise man. But the person understanding bhakti is the best of men. A devotee is best among all, but a austere vanaprastha or sannyasi is a wise person, an intelligent and discriminate person. So in that way, the categorization is indicated. So now, this is the final verse spoken by Vidura.
Austerity one can understand the bhakti.
Hmm?
Here it is the first year sannyasi is the wise man and the person understanding bhakti is the best of them.
Sannyasi means austerities only, not ISKCON sannyasi. The traditional Vanaprastha order sannyasi means only austerities. Vanaprastha order and sannyasi order are meant for performing austerities. The lifestyle of not only sannyasi, even brahmachari. A brahmachari, Vanaprastha and sannyasi, the principal activity for them is austerities. That's all. A grahastha is allowed to live in the midst of comforts. So that is according to Vanaprastha order.
So the understanding of bhakti is not dependent on austerity.
Here also we perform austerities, but very meager. Yesterday, not yesterday, for yesterday, some or other fasted till moonrise. So 4 times in a year we fast. Janmashtami, Narsin Chaturthi, Gauru Purnima, Nirjala Ekadashi. 4 days we fast. That in a year, that's all, nothing else. Some meager austerities.
Next day rewarded.
Prabhuji, what is meant by their austerities, Prabhuji? Sannyasi or brahmachari or vanaprasthas?
Can you repeat your question, Prabhuji?
What is their austerities according to Vedic system? Sannyasis or vanaprasthas?
Yes, Prabhu, lot of austerities. 7th canto Bhagavatam talks about it very nicely. Even we have read briefly in the Bhagavad Gita, if you remember in the Bhakshasri, chapter 16, Daivasura Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga. Not that. 16th or 17th. Yeah, 16th only. In the first 3 verses, talks about the different duties of the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. So, brahmachari means keeping the senses and mind under control, complete control. And I'll tell you, Vanaprastha, what kind of tapasya they are supposed to do. A Vanaprastha not supposed to eat anything cooked. A Vanaprastha not supposed to take anything from the plants directly. For example, some grains are there, or some vegetables are there, some tomato, some vegetables. So normally tomato we can eat as it is without cooking also. But a Vanaprastha not even supposed to pluck a tomato from a plant and eat. When the tomato falls on its own accord down on the surface of the ground. Now currently the mango season is going on. If the mangoes fall from the tree on their own on the ground, then only a Vanaprastha can eat them. A Vanaprastha cannot pluck a mango from the mango tree. A Vanaprastha never supposed to lit fire. They only supposed to eat raw food. Whatever is available in the form of fruits and roots and grains or vegetables. Only raw diet.
Very difficult.
And they are not supposed to store for the next meal. They should only accept whatever is needed at that point of time. And they should take next meal whenever they get something. Whatever it is, sannyasi and vanaprastha, same thing. So in that sense, that is the kind of austerities prescribed for a vanaprastha. So now tell me, they are not even supposed to cut the hair. They are not even supposed to shave. They are not even supposed to cut the nails. They are not even supposed to wear sweaters in the winter. They are not even supposed to take hot water bath. They are not even supposed to stay in a hut. They can stay maybe in the caves. If there are no caves, underneath a tree in the rainy season or in the winter season.
That also they keep changing.
Yeah, they are not supposed to stay at one place. They keep moving, wandering. Something like
Okay,
that.
but what is this? The inspiration source, Prabhuji, that they are continuously observing their austerities.
Inspiration source is to get out of this material world. This is the only way to get out of this material world.
But they are not doing Prabhuji's devotion service.
And no, Prabhuji, they are also having some bhakti. It is not that same.
Achha.
There is a clear-cut understanding in Vedic literature. We may say jnana is not like that. Without bhakti, there is nothing is complete in this material world. They also practice bhakti along with these austerities. So, because somehow or other we are coming in the line of ISKCON, in the line of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, Prabhupada says that We eat our way back home back to Godhead. Prabhupada always said. So of course, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's causeless mercy upon all of us. But according to Varnashram system, a person supposed to follow strict austerities. That doesn't mean that we should eat lavishly. So once in a while it may be okay, and the festival days a devotee can eat. So we are long way to go. So it is not that. Even either sannyasi or vanaprastha or brahmachari supposed to control their tongue. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udrupastha vegam. Jiva vegam is very much required. That is a preliminary instruction without which one cannot control the mind. If one cannot control the tongue, how can one control the mind? Controlling mind means focusing the mind on Krishna's Nama Rupa Gunalila. We may artificially chant every day 16 rounds very expertly. We may say that today I have completed my 16 rounds in 1 hour 40 minutes. Something like that we may glorify ourselves. But that is not the whole point. Ultimately, we should come to the point of smaranam. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Lord Krishna told that at the time of death, if one gives up one's body, remembering me, that means me means my name, form, qualities are activities. Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. Then only one will be qualified to go back home back to Godhead. And the main austerity for us is eating. Not eating may not be considered austerity because we are allowed to eat. But the main austerity is that we need to control our mind and senses. That is very difficult. So for that we need to practice.
Thank you, Guruji.
It's like that. So from the point of view of jnanis and yogis who go through these severe austerities like vanaprastha, etc., they traditionally they are aspiring for Brahmananda, they are aspiring for Savijya Mukti, they go through all the austerities. And devotees on the other hand aspire for entering into Vaikuntha. Later on we read in the 4th canto, Bhagavatam, even Prithu Maharaj having gone to forest, he also following all the same austerities. He is a Lord himself, still is practicing all the austerities in order to set a proper example of giving up the body. So it is like that. So the problem is, a householder is permitted to live in the midst of all the opulences. The danger is one can become attracted to it. One can become attached to it. That is the danger. So to come out of that, there is a counterpart is proposed by the Varna system, that is Vanaprastha. The person is allowed to be in the midst of all the opulences in the Guru's order. In the Vanaprastha, they are forced to come out of it. Further, they are recommended to go through severe austerities. So in the Grihastha, one can eat palatable dishes. In the Vanaprastha, one is allowed to eat only raw food. That is counteraction coming out. In the Grihastha order, one can live in a palatial building. In the Vanaprastha, no hut even. Either live in the caves or underneath a tree. In the Grihastha order, one can, like that, all other things are allowed. But for Vanaprastha, Grihastha order, one can keep oneself very neat and tidy, wear beautifully shining clothes. But in the Vanaprastha order, no such attachment. They are not supposed to cut their hair. They are not supposed to cut their nails. So, etc. etc. It is
Hare
strict.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Then Prabhuji, and what is the austerity for Grihastha order?
Austerity for a Grihastha order is that in spite of living in the midst of all these opulences, one should not become attracted to all those things. That is the austerity recommended for Grihasthas. Grihasthas can have all these opulences, but they should not become attached to all of them. They should make a plan that, okay, all these things are there with me, but they'll be there with me only maybe up to 50 years or 60 years of my age. At 60 years, I'll give everything to my son and I'll go to forest. Traditionally, but according to modern context, at least after 60, I will give all the responsibility to my children and I devote my 24 hours time for preaching. So it should be like that. The almara key should be given to the daughter-in-law at the age of 60. Prabhupada says actually 50. At the age of 50, they are supposed to take into Vanaprastha order. So at least out of, according to government rules, 58 or 60 years, we can say, in a retirement age. So at the 60th age, when the husband gets retired, when the father gets retired from official office work, the mother also supposed to get retired from the home ministry. So she's supposed to give the key to the daughter-in-law, so that they will be relieved from the active engagement. They can continue to stay in the household only, but they will devote their full time to devotional practices and inspiring others to practice bhakti. So that is what is recommended by Prabhupada in the modern day context. But see, be careful, not that if the daughter-in-law and son are not so favorable to take care of the parents, the next moment when the key is received, when the documents are received, the parents are thrown out. So that danger is also there in the modern day. So I'm saying in the normal context, but if the devotees are taking care of their children very nicely, giving good samskaras, the children will never do like that. That case, like that, should be continued. So in that way. So now finally, Vidura is saying the final instruction. So what is supposed to do now? At least now, after spending so many years in Hastinapur. Ato jitim disham yatu swair itorvak prayashakala pumsham guna vikarshana.
Please, therefore, leave for the north immediately, without letting your relatives know, for soon that time will approach, which will diminish the good qualities of man.
Yeah, he says that. Therefore, go to the north. Ato udicham disham. Udicham means uttara, north. Please go to the north. That means go to Himalayas, somewhere unknown to your relatives. If you inform Yudhishthir Maharaj or Kunti, they will never allow you to leave home. So without telling anybody, leave immediately and go to Himalayas. Then time, the destroyer of most of man's qualities, will come. Before the death comes, get out of home, go to Himalayas and do something for your benefit. Once the death comes, even though you want to do something for your benefit, you can't do anything. So the good quality is the quality that you want to do something good for you. The determination to go to forest and practice Vanaprastha order very seriously. So in that way.
Dhritarashtra cannot see anything. He was blind. How he can go in the forest and move here and there?
Wife is also kind of closed her eyes. He can take help of someone. Where there is a way, sorry, where there is a will, there is a way. So it's like that. Of course, Vidura came now. He was not there all these years. So you have not become an Narottama, at least become a Dhira. How? At least now go to Himalayas, go to the forest, live a life of austerities, and get rid of all these palatial attachments, etc. Arva Kala means time will come. Time means death will come. That time, the destroyer of man's qualities like determination and mercy will come. So, etc. So, this is the last instruction, that at least now understand that as a human being, you need to work for your benefit also. Till the date, you are only working for your false ideologies. Just you are always wanted to be a king and royally treated, etc. etc. That is gone. Now, at least whatever little time remaining in your life, do something for your own benefit. So these instructions of strong words actually transformed the heart of Dhritarashtra. Now, what did Dhritarashtra do? Evam Raja Vidure Nanujena Prajna Chakshur Bodhita Ajamida Chitva Sveshu Sneha Pashandrudimno Nichakrama Bratru Sandarshitadva.
Lord
Thus,
Sri Chaitanya
Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the Sisyan of family of Ajamida, firmly convinced by introspective knowledge, Prajna, broke at once the strong network of familial affection by his resolute determination. Thus, he immediately left home to set out on the path of liberation, as directed by his younger brother Vidura.
So, the king Dhritarashtra, who was born in the Ajamida dynasty with the eyes of knowledge, till now he was having no eyes, he was born blind. But today he has received the eyes of knowledge from Vidura, enlightened by his younger brother Vidura, possessing the path shown by his younger brother Vidura, cutting the ropes of affection because of determination, left the house. Nishakrama, Nishakrama, Bhratrur, Sandarshita, Adva. Sneha Pasham Drudimno. So if you remember in the Kunti Maharani prayers, Sneha Pasham Duram Chindi. Please cut my affection towards Yadus and Kurus, something like that. Here Dhritarashtra also cut his affection towards the entire Kuru dynasty and he left the house and he was traveling towards north. So Dhritarashtra was given the teachings of Bhakti Mishra Jnana for liberation. So Vidura understood that Dhritarashtra never ever served Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna in his entire life. He never ever had a favorable attitude towards the Pandavas, who are the devotees of Supreme Lord. He neither served the Lord nor served the devotees. So he has no qualification to become a full-fledged devotee. He has no qualification to go to Vaikuntha so that he can continue to serve the Lord or devotees in Vaikuntha. That is not possible for him. He never practiced in entire life. How can he do it after having gone to spiritual world? So he can only be qualified to get liberation. So keeping that in mind, he only instructed him in Jnana. What one is supposed to do? Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Jnana with little bit Bhakti. He was born in the Ajamida dynasty because of his mental determination, he could live. So because very strong instructions were given, as a force of that, he started towards north to endeavor to attain Sahajya Mukti in that way. The path shown by his brother was the path of bondage and liberation. Basically, Vidura gave the instruction that if you still continue to stay in the family, you will continue to stay in the repeated cycle of birth and death. But if you come out of the home and go to north, at least you can endeavor to attain Sahajya Mukti, liberation. So in that way. So Dhritarashtra left the palace. And then what happened? Patim Pariyantam, Patim Prayantam, Subalasya Putri, Pativrata Chanujagama Sadvi, Himalayam Nastya Danda Praharsham, Manasvinam Yivasas Samprahara.
The gentle and chaste Gandhari, who was the daughter of King Subala of Kandhar or Gandhar, followed her husband, seeing that he was going to the Himalaya mountains, which are the delight of those who have accepted the staff of the renounced order, like fighters who have accepted a good lashing from the enemy.
So Dhritarashtra stepped out, understanding that her husband stepped out, chaste Gandhari, who was the daughter of Subala, having good qualities and dedicated to her husband, followed him as he went to the Himalayas, which gives joy to those who have given up violence. Who will be happy in Himalayas, or who will be happy in Vanaprastha or Sannyas order? Those who have given up. Here it is apparently it is violence, but control. From the point of Kshatriyas, it is violence, because as long as they continue as a king, they need to do violence in so many battles, awarding punishment to the miscreants, etc., etc. But when they take on to Vanaprastha order, no violence. Even when they go to forest, they should not harm any animal. A Kshatriya, when they go to forest, they can hunt animals. But a Vanaprastha, when they go to forest, they are not supposed to harm any animal. They are supposed to give up all the violence. If the tiger attacks, they should accept as the will of the destiny. They should not protect themselves, something like that. No more violence in the Vanaprastha order. She took the challenge like a warrior enjoying a good battle, because she is also a Kshatrani. So, in spite of covering her eyes with that eye-fold the bandage, but she said that I'll also follow you. My dear husband, you are going to forest, I'll come with you. I'll also go through the forest austerities. So, actually, the Kshatriyas take it in strong spirit. The Kshatriyas, as long as they are ruling, they are always eager to take part in the battle. After that, when they go to forest, they are similarly eager to follow all these sincere austerities, serious austerities. They consider these austerities like a battle. So just like a warrior, both Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they went into the forest to undertake all the austerities of Vanaprastha orders. Gandhari was the daughter of Shubala. Sadhvi means having all the good qualities. How did she go to the Himalayas, which would give great hardships? Such sufferings are a cause of joy for those who have enthusiasm. Even the hardships that are there in the Himalayas, like cold, chilling wind in the winter season, intense rain during some rainy season, intense heat, scorching heat during summer season, but they accept everything as a warrior. It is like a good fight experienced by the warrior, even if he is very young. So in that way, this is how both Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, having heard from Vidura, requesting Vidura to take them to Himalayas. So Vidura actually escorts both Dhritarashtra and Gandhari to the Himalayas. Prabhuji, Vidura himself escorted them to Himalayas. Otherwise, they could have taken the help of Sanjaya. But Vidura himself told that without informing anybody, leave immediately. And Duryodhana might have requested, if I don't have to inform anyone, if at all I inform Sanjaya, Sanjaya will inform Yudhishthira Maharaj immediately. So we don't want to inform anyone. Please take both of us. Take me to the forest. When he was getting ready, his wife also followed him as a chaste wife. So like that, both of them went to forest. Having gone to forest, what did they do? What happened to them? We will see in the next class. Hare Krishna. Here Kunti का नाम दिया नहीं. Okay, Hare Krishna. Any questions?
The last paragraph.
No.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Last paragraph.
1 second, Prabhuji. Wait. Here, Prabhuji is asking something.
The last the sannyasi effect a rod as a sign of the renounced order of the life. There are two types of sannyasis. What is this?
So there are 4 types of sannyasis: Puticaka, Bahavoda, and Paramahamsa, Parivrajaka, and Paramahamsa. Different kind of sannyasis are there. They are like different divisions among sannyasa. So they are all details. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, continue.
Prabhuji, my question is that Dhritarashtra is doing so much offense to the Pandava, and still he has means he is getting liberation, right? Jnana Mukti, whatever the size of Mukti. So if, how this possible? Because he has done offensive towards the devotee and even Lord Krishna also. And he also even this Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, so this those who are means offended toward the lotus feet of devotee, they can't get really mukti. They Jusmat and some means that those who are offended to our Lord devotee, our Lord's lotus feet, they can't get liberation. They are thinking they are liberating, but they are not liberated. So how is this possible?
No, that is for Mayavadis.
Okay.
That verse talks about Mayavadis who discard the form of the Supreme Lord. They say Lord has no form. That is Mayavadas. Even though they think that they are liberated, they will never attain liberation. That is the difference. Here, though Dhritarashtra had all these things, but for the last 35 years he was repenting, na? He was going through painful situation. He was repenting for what he has done. So basically, Sayujya Mukti mainly depends upon one's endeavor and also the mercy of Paramatma that is there. So it is like that. See, neither the Pandavas nor Vidura, who are the affected party of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, never took it as offense. Pandavas never had any ill feeling towards Dhritarashtra. Even though Dhritarashtra might be part of all the evil schemes, they understand that he only did all these things helplessly. They never found fault with Dhritarashtra. Instead, they treated Dhritarashtra like their own father. So it's like that.
Okay.
See good in Dhritarashtra. So from that point of view. So since Pandavas and Vidura never took it as an offense, so there was no offense on the part of Dhritarashtra. So in that way. Even Draupadi also later on she never disrespected Dhritarashtra. For 35 years she served Dhritarashtra like her father. So even that in that assembly the great thing happened in that gambling match. So many things happened. Dhritarashtra never said no. But still Draupadi never had harbored ill feelings towards him because they understood everything. Dhritarashtra, by the way, good person only, but he was always influenced by Duryodhana. So what can be done? Duryodhana, Shakuni, they are like always influencers, always there. So it was like that. So like that we can see. Okay, Apruji. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. We'll stop here and we'll continue next week. Next week we have class. The